What's up, guys? Average Kiwi Guy here. How y'all doing? So I just went and saw American Assassin. It's been a while since I've done a movie review. I went on holiday to Hawaii, and then a couple of movies came out, and then nothing's really come out that I've wanted to do. I don't do scary movies, so like it and all that. I ain't going anywhere near. You couldn't pay me to go. You could not pay me to go. So don't expect that stuff from me. But American Assassin was there, and I was like, yeah, this actually looks kind of interesting. Like, I quite, I got a bit of a Jason Bourne vibe from it, a little bit of that. So I was keen. I was keen to see, what they do with it. And, this, they sort of like had this sort of, stuff about terrorism and stuff in there. So it had a little bit of intrigue. There. How did it come out, though? For me, this was a solid average movie. Like, it is not something that I would say rush out and go and see. It's not that way, really that way. It's just like, if you got nothing else to go and watch and you want to go to the movies, that's there. And it's kind of entertaining, and it'll intrigue you for a couple of hours. That's really it. It's nothing mind-blowing in any way. Like, for me, this felt like kind of like a clumsy Jason Bourne. Like that's the way it felt to me. Like this sort of badass dude that can beat anyone else, beat everyone down, who's kind of has to go off and do these sort of clandestine Black Ops type missions. But I have problems with that too, and we'll get to that. So we'll see. We'll go through this. So for me, the highlight of this film was Michael Keaton. Like, Michael Keaton, like, in the certain scenes that he did, was spot on. He plays, like, this, like, badass, old, grizzled sort of Marine called Hurley, and he's, like, he trains these, like, ghost sort of operatives, well, they're not, it's a squad that no one should ever know about. Like, I don't even think the president was meant to know about. Like, it's just a CIA sort of, like, assassin death squad sort of thing that he trains them. And like, he trains them how to kill people, trains them how to spot people, like their targets and stuff. And so he trains these assassins. So we'll get into him. So the main character, Mitch Rapp or something, or like his name's like Rapp. Like, they always call him Rapp. Who's played by the Maze Runner guy, Dylan O'Brien. And basically what happens is his girlfriend, or like fiance, essentially, they get basically, she gets killed in a terrorist attack, like on this, I think it's like Bali or some beach, and they get gunned down, like massively gunned down, and she gets killed like right in front of him. He's shot and all the rest of it, and this terrorist dude just walks up, boom boom, double taps her, but completely leaves him alone. I was like, okay, this guy who came to that place to kill as many people as possible just left you alive. Major plot armor. Like, this dude's bulletproof at that point. So that was a little bit like off. I was like, okay, I'll let it pass, because it's like you gotta let him develop as a character. So, and this essentially sets him on his way. Like, it sets him on this really like a terrorist vigilante, right? He wants to go into these cells and basically kill the guy that was responsible for killing his fiance at the time. Okay? And, he trains for like 18 months, like, in an MMA gym and at shooting ranges, and he throws knives and all the rest of it. And he like gets embedded, like he sort of embeds himself in the cell and all that and all the rest of it. And he goes to Tripoli, and he goes there to meet these guys, and he meets the guy that ran the terrorist cell that attacked the beach, and he fully intended on killing him. But that's when the CIA shows up, and lo and behold to him that the CIA has been watching him the entire time. Which is like, yeah, dude, of course they have. Like, you can be as stealthy as you like, they're gonna flag you pretty quickly. So yeah, they find him. They basically take out the terrorist leader. He's like all pissed because like, no, I wanted to kill him. That was mine. Like, no, like that. Basically what happened. And that sets him off. That's what makes him become this assassin that the CIA trains up. They see potential in him. Like, he's better than these military trained Marines and all that. This guy that's trained for 18 months, like this student who trains himself for 18 months to be this killer guy. Like, he just becomes this badass assassin. It's like, all right. Okay, it's fine. He basically becomes Jason Bourne. I was like, all right. And that's where we meet Michael Keaton, his character, Hurley, who trains them all and the rest of it. And they do this sort of, training sort of scenes where, like, they had this, like, augmented reality headsets on. And if they shoot the wrong person, they get zapped. And it's, like, being tased. And, all this stuff. So that was kind of cool. But the thing is, so for me, as this movie went on, and it, continued on as it went, the story itself, like, the weight of the story kind of started to fall off. Mainly because as you go through, the bad guys kind of change, right? Like, at the start of the movie, it's very much about, terrorist cells and going after them and, like, going after leaders and all that. And, like, there's this, these people steal some nuclear material and, like, oh, they're gonna make a bomb and all the rest of it. Then they go after, like, the weapons dealer that's gonna, sell parts for the bomb and stuff. And then they find out that it's, like, this guy who's a ghost who was one of these guys is sort of gone rogue, or, they all thought he was dead, but now he's back and he's trying to, he's got to stir up some shit and all the rest. And, that's, as it continues on, as the bad guys sort of move along, like, at first it's like this bad guy, this ex-ghost, he, at first it's like he's trying to get this stuff into terrorist hands. And then it moves into he's trying to get it into another country's hands. And as it goes along, it's sort of like, it feels like it's building up. Like, oh, they're going to, someone's going to do a terrorist attack. Oh no, he's trying to start a war. Like, a war that could lead to, like, World War III and stuff like that. Because it would draw in the superpowers and all the rest of it. As it sort of goes along. But right at the end, it becomes more of a personal thing for him. It sort of becomes like, he was left behind. He was one of these ghosts. And Michael Keaton's character sort of made him out to be, like, his guy. And, like, he was special to him and all the rest of it. But he went AWOL on a mission, got caught, and no one came to get him. But the fact is, in the training, when they get trained, they're told, if you get caught, you better shoot yourself or kill yourself or whatever, because no one is coming for you and no one is going to save you. But the whole plan for this bad guy, this ghost, is that he's pissed that no one came for him. But you're this Black Ops guy that no one was ever going to come for. You're a ghost. Once you're gone, you're gone. That's it. No one's coming for you. You're dead. You're dead to them. Like, no one's going to risk their necks for you. You're meant to do a mission and get out. That's your job. He got caught, and now he's blaming everyone else, and his entire plan is to nuke the 6th Fleet of the United States Navy. It goes from, they're going to get nuclear bomb into a terrorist hands. It goes from, I'm going to get the bomb into another country's hands to start a war between two countries that could essentially create World War III that's really big, create chaos. And I thought, oh yeah, like, this guy's like a, bit of a, wants to watch the world burn, and, like, he's a bit of a, he likes to bring chaos to the world and all the rest of it. That's cool. I like that. But then it becomes this real childish, like, oh my, my father figure that maybe I never had, the guy that, he promised that he was going to be like, this father to me, failed me, and now I'm going to punish him by nuking the 6th Fleet off the coast of Rome. It fell apart, and it made this bad guy who was kind of cool for a while. He was sort of like the anti-rap, he was the anti-main character. Like, he was quite cool because he was, he could do everything that they could do. He was a good, because he could see them coming. He could see all this, and he, messed up all this stuff. It was good. It was really good because he's always a step ahead. He was always a step ahead. But in the end, he just become this really petty, just like kind of pissed off, like, oh, I got left behind, but I never followed my training, so it's kind of my fault, but I'm blaming everyone else for it, sort of thing. He became very just, like, he fell apart. The main bad guy fell apart, and that's a shame. That's really a shame, because he could have been cool. He could have been very cool. So yeah, that's essentially the way this, the story goes, is that they just are following this nuclear bomb along the process of it getting built, and they try to stop it at different points. And they go to Istanbul, and they get this other agent that helps them and all that, Anika, and they tease a bit of a love interest between the two of them, but they crush that. They crush that hard. There is no love stuff in this film, like, apart from right at the start. That's it. They did quite a good switch with her. I quite like that she wasn't just some, pretty girl that they were gonna make him a bit into a love interest. They gave her a bit of a bit of a spy story to her, which was really, really cool. I like that. I like that a lot. It was a nice sort of, like, the movie was starting to sort of drag for a bit, and when her story sort of flipped on you, it picked back up again. So that was a good thing. I think that was really good. But, she was okay. She was pretty average, she was a nice little side character, really. But for the main characters, Rap, who's played by Dylan, he's so traumatized by this one event that's happened to him. He's so focused on being this vigilante terrorist, like, I'm gonna go out and kill every freaking terrorist I can find and all the rest of it. He's kind of like Batman, just not cool. He's just like, he's kind of dull in places. He's just not all that interesting, and all the rest of it. I don't know. He has some cool fight scenes. He has some cool parts, but for me, he was like kind of like a young Jason Bourne. To be honest, like he that's what he felt like. He felt like a young Jason Bourne, and he was all right. He was all right. They didn't really do much with his story. Like, he just was a badass in places. He, just average dude becomes assassin who's somehow immensely better than all these Marines and trained military guys, and just blitzes them and all the rest of it. So that was kind of a funny part. So another big thing for me, right, in this film that kind of tweaked me a little bit on it, like it pulled me out of this, like the idea of this being like, kind of like a black ops unit going in and, going after these terrorists and stuff and doing what has to be done without letting anyone know and all that. Like all the missions that you would never want the public to ever know, or even the president or anyone to know. These guys roll up, like, their first mission that you see. They roll up to a restaurant in Istanbul, in the middle of Istanbul, in the broad daylight, to take out this weapons dealer and the handler, who ends up being the bad guy. Rolls up there. None of them have silencers. None of them, like, there's no snipers. There's no plan to do this. They're not hiding who they are. Nothing. They roll up, sit in the restaurant. The guy, this other guy that, like, was the lead on this mission, who gets his ass handed to him, by the way. He just dies instantly. He doesn't even get to do anything. Was just gonna go up and I think just either strangle him, stab him, or kill him. It's like, seriously? All this training, all this, like, oh, we're like a shadow ops, like, unit for the CIA and all the rest of it. No one can ever know who we are and all the rest of it. And your big idea is to roll up with guns, with no silencers, no real plan other than, we're going to kill these two people in broad daylight with no facial thing or anything. These American citizens on a foreign soil. I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. It's like, and especially because at the start, before this mission even begins, he's like, right, we're going in. No footprint. No one can know we're here. They have a massive shootout in the middle of Istanbul. They have a car chase and everything. It's the amount of like just bodies left behind by these black ops guys is awful. It's so bad. It's for me, like, yeah, you're not a clandestine operation. You're just going in there and just shooting. You're just going in there and shooting because that's all you're doing. Like, this isn't like a SEAL team going in. It doesn't feel like there's any plan or anything. This isn't Jason Bourne who can go into a crowded room, kill a guy, and get out without anyone seeing him or letting any of the security cameras see him. All the cameras get them. All the people see him. It's like, no. So that got me a lot. Like, in every instance where they go after someone, no silencers, no nothing. Like, there's no stealth to these guys. So that was a little, like, it felt like I said, like a clumsy Jason Bourne. Like, that's where that came from. Like, that's what it feels like. Also, one of the down bits was the CGI. Like, there's a moment, like, pretty much the big climactic moment of the end of this film is pretty much all CGI. Okay, the CGI is very like, they clearly put a lot of their money into the shootouts, the car chases, the fight scenes, and all the rest of it, and then they're like, oh crap, we have to do a CGI bit, don't we? The budget's a little low. We're gonna have to get someone on the cheap. It did not look good. It did not look good. The ships didn't look all that good. The helicopters were old. They were like, this is not what the US military would use. Like, there's like, they weren't Black Hawks or anything. These were like Iroquois. They're like Vietnam helicopters. So it just, yeah, it started to like look very cheap by the end of it. The scene they tried to pull off was very impressive. Like, it's a nuclear explosion underwater that's like ripping through a Navy fleet with like aircraft carriers going up huge waves and planes and all the rest of it, and like destroyers and all that. About a few of the useless fight scenes that weren't all that necessary. They could have cut them out, then, bring the budget up for the CGI, because it wasn't all that good. It was like, oh, this looks like it's, multiple years old. Like, multiple years old. It looked like not TV. Like, I honestly, I would say, like, Game of Thrones does far better CGI. Far better CGI. Like, insanely better CGI. I would even say, like, I quite like The Last Ship. I'd even say The Last Ship sometimes looked a little bit better. That's where it got to. Like, the character-wise, like, the characters, they're all pretty basic. Like I said, Michael Keaton was the highlight. He has some great scenes, especially, like, there's a scene where he's getting tortured, and he's, like, fantastic. Like, he's going at the other guy while he's being tortured. He was awesome. He was really good. He's almost worth the price of admission. He's almost worth. I wouldn't say he is. I'd say, like, he's worth maybe seeing it, like, renting it or something once it comes out on DVD or something. Like, that's probably where you would see him. But he's almost worth the price of admission. He was pretty good. He was pretty good. I liked him a lot. But yeah, overall, this movie, just middle of the road, average, not really worth rushing out to go and see. If you can see it on the cheap, like, not pirating, I mean, like, maybe your cinema or something, local cinema does like a cheap, like Sunday deal or something. Go and watch it then. If you want to, like, just waste some time, maybe, like, it's a decent action film. Like, it's got some decent fight scenes, decent shootouts and stuff. Like I said, Michael Keaton's almost worth the price of admission. Otherwise, it's very average. It's a very average film. Just, nothing too special about it. Nothing too special. Yeah. Alright guys, that's it for us. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.